Hello, so today I'm going to show you how to fold over the brim of your hood. That way you can string a drawstring through it. It's pretty easy. It's a little tricky to kind of write down, so I've decided to make a video. That way it's a little easier if you watch someone rather than see. So we've got our hood and we've kind of made it like an extra 2 rows longer than what we need. And we figured that this is going to stretch a whole lot, so this is kind of wide for my daughter's head. So what we're going to do is we're going to be folding over that last row, and then we're going to be what I call mattress stitching all the way across, and it's really nice because you don't have to bind off and you don't have to get a needle and thread and sew through, and it just makes a really nice strong bond. So we're going to show you how to do it. So we've got our last 3 rows here. We've got this one, and this one, right? 1, 2, 3. And so we're folding over the top one, right? So we have that ridge across the top, and we're going to be slip stitching so that we have a tube that will be going through here, right? You want it about that width, so we're going to be stitching into the top of that 4th row. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Our hook is going to be going into that top one. So basically put your hook in. We're going to be counting down. I'm going to do this a little awkwardly so that you can kind of see it really good here. So we have 1, right, 2, 3, and then this is the one we're going into. So I'm going to fold it over like that, and we're going to be inserting our hook into that 4th one, and the yarn is going over, and that's going to create kind of like the closure on this side. So we're yarning over, and then we're just pulling it back up, right? So now our yarn is going to be on one side of our hood, and our hook is going to be on the other, and we're basically just going to be jumping through the loops to hook it together. So we're going to go through that same first stitch again just to secure it. So we're going through the top V, and then we're going through, I'll make sure you're in the stitch, this yarn's a little thick, sorry, through that top V and then through that first hole. Right, so your loop is on this side of your hook, and the yarn is on this side of the hook of your work, sorry, and you're just going to be pulling it through. So you have 2 on your hook, and then just slip stitching it like that, and then we're going to be bouncing through again. So you get your next stitch, right, your next hole, so we're just running along this ridge right here, right? See that? And it really doesn't matter. It's very forgiving because it's kind of almost an invisible kind of join here. So I just grabbed it through and then slip stitch it. So let's go through the next one, and it's a little slow working across, but you know, I don't like joining, but you can see the stitch it makes right there. So the yarn on one side, you just pull it through both loops and slip it. And I love doing this to join. You're just grabbing it from the other side, pulling it through, and slipping it. So you're just going every stitch all the way across. And it's just going to create like a really nice little tube for you to stick your drawstring through. Just like that. You see that? And then you end up with, it's really hard to see, but that row of stitches that just is nice and invisible. But it creates like a really nice structured edge to your hoods, even if you're not doing a drawstring. It gives it nice structure so you don't have floppy hoods that you know, just aren't sitting quite right and kind of look, you know, they just don't look like your hoodie, your favorite hoodie, because you don't have, or you know, if you're doing it with fabric, you'd be using interfacing to you know, stiffen it up. So since we can't do that with crochet, we just kind of double it over. Make sure you stay on that. It can get a little tricky as you go down. You want to make sure you're staying on that same line all the way through, that you're not jumping down. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going into the top of that fourth one. All the way across. So go slow. Check your work, check that you're on that same line, that you're not jumping down or going up. After you've done it a while, you start to kind of see where you are. It just creates a really nice, I mean, you can see how this, when I curve it like that versus when I curve the one that, you know, it's the same kind of thing. See how it's like it's a little floppy. I mean, we've all made hoods that were just like, oh man, do I have to use like triple the amount of yarn? No, you don't. And then the inside just has like a nice, I mean, it's really nice and soft. You don't have like hard stitches. Just a really great way to join the hood. So we're just going to continue along. And you don't have to do the join on the fourth row down like I did. If you want it, you know, I'm doing it fourth row, that way I have a nice big opening for a drawstring. You can do it third row down. You could fold it really tight, and you'll get kind of a, you know, play with it to get the look that you want. This is great for the tops of purses that you're making. You know, just imagine this as a hand, you know, like a market bag or something. And you do this stitch and just makes it really nice and neat looking. It's practically invisible from this side. It just gives it a little bit of structure. You know, and then you could put a drawstring through your handbag that you're making. And you know, pop it through, and you don't have to worry about the closure. It's a very versatile stitch. I love it. It does get tricky following the rows. It really helps if you're using like a color changing yarn where you're doing every row a different color, because then it does give a really neat effect on this side, because the stitches that are going across, you'll just get like a really nice ridge. Sorry. So, but yeah, so there we go. You're going into every stitch on the other side, so that comes out nice and even, and you can kind of, just really nice. Sorry about that. Make sure I'm following the same row all the way across, that I'm right in that ridge. And once you pick, you know, kind of like the space that you're going to be joining, just be consistent and it will work out. Whether you're in right above this ridge or you go in between your stitches, it doesn't matter at all. It won't change the look of it. But you're going to want to make sure that you're consistent all the way through. So if you start going through one part of the ridge, just make sure you're, or between the stitches, make sure that you're consistently going through that same part of the stitches all the way across. That way you get a nice clean edge across here. You know, like when you look at it, it's not going to be twisting. It'll just be that same view all the way across. And here we've reached the end. Oops, see, I jumped up here. I should have been going through these parts, and you see how it makes a difference here. You see how it just veered up instead of going through those stitches, so I'm going to have to back out. Just pull it through and get that hook, and then make sure I go through the right part of the stitch. Or the start, I mean, there's no wrong place, but that you're, like I said before, consistent all the way through. There we go. Yep. That last one is always really hard. And there we go. All the way around. You have to have really heavy yarn all the way through your hood. You can just have it on the edge, you know, doubling it up like that. And once you get your drawstring in there, you'll be able to cinch it tight or keep it loose, and that drawstring will add even more structure to the edge of your, or the brim of your hood.